At first glance, the world appears immaculate. Smooth surfaces, clean lines, a city that reflects itself endlessly in glass and steel. Morning routines unfold with a mechanical precision, coffee ordered a certain way, suits pressed just enough, smiles calibrated for approval. Everything functions, everything fits, nothing feels out of place. And yet, something is already wrong. Patrick Bateman moves through this environment with the confidence of someone who belongs everywhere and nowhere at once. At once, he blends in perfectly. The right haircut, the right watch, the right vocabulary. He speaks in the language of status and surface, fluent and effortless. To those around him, he is indistinguishable from everyone else another young man doing well in a world designed to reward people exactly like him. That is the first quiet unease. Not that he stands out, but that he doesn't need to. The city rewards sameness. Restaurants are discussed like battlegrounds. Reservations become symbols of power. Names blur together. Faces lose definition. Compliments sound rehearsed. Insults hide behind politeness. Identity here is not something you discovered, something you purchase, polish, and perform. Patrick understands this instinctively. He curates himself with obsessive care. His mornings are rituals. His body is a project. His reflection is studied like evidence. He doesn't admire himself. He monitors himself, as if existence requires constant verification. Beneath the routine, there is an emptiness that never quite settles, an absence where something human should be. Patrick describes feelings the way someone might describe weather, accurate in detail, detached in experience. He knows the words. He lacks the weight behind them. This is not a man searching for meaning. It is a man searching for sensation. The early days unfold without urgency. Work meetings drift by in language that sounds important, but says nothing. Colleagues mistake each other constantly, and no one corrects them. Names are interchangeable. Achievements are relative. The hierarchy is rigid, yet absurdly fragile. One business card can destabilize an entire room. Patrick smiles through it. All. But the smile doesn't soften his face. It freezes it. Inside, something tightens. A slow realization begins to form, not loud enough to announce itself, not clear enough to explain. An unease that won't name itself. Patrick feels invisible, even as he is constantly observed, admired, even desired sometimes, but never truly perceived. An invisibility in a world obsessed with recognition is intolerable. De-escalation begins quietly, not with violence, but with fixation. Patrick's thoughts drift toward control, toward domination, toward moments where the ambiguity of his existence might finally collapse into something undeniable. His desires are not driven by pleasure alone. They are driven by proof. Proof that he exists. Proof that he matters. Proof that he is not replaceable. The choices he makes seem almost logical within his internal framework. If identity is defined by superiority, then someone must be beneath you. If the world refuses to see you, then you must force it to look. These are not impulses that arrive suddenly. They accumulate. They justify themselves. Violence, when it enters, does not feel chaotic. It feels procedural, clean, almost mundane. Patrick approaches it with the same discipline he applies to everything else. There is no visible remorse, not because he feels powerful, but because remorse would require connection. And connection is precisely what he cannot tolerate. As his actions grow more extreme, the world around him remains stubbornly indifferent. Alibis are accepted without question. Confessions dissolve into jokes. Authority figures fail to listen, not because they are deceived, but because they are distracted. Everyone is too busy performing themselves to notice anyone else. This is where the story quietly reframes itself. The midpoint is not marked by discovery, but by doubt. Patrick begins to lose confidence not in what he has done, but in whether it has registered at all. The city absorbs everything. Noise, blood, truth. Nothing leaves a mark. Consequences evaporate into social noise and professional courtesy. Oro shifts. It is no longer about what Petri is capable of doing. It is about what the world is capable of ignoring. Reality itself becomes unstable. Patrick's grip on certainty loosens. Faces blur further. Time fractures. Events repeat or contradict themselves. He speaks openly about acts that should end his life, and no one reacts. Confessions fall into silence, not because they are unbelievable, but because they are inconvenient. Patrick wants to be stopped, not out of guilt but desperation. In the descent, the violence loses its clarity. Control slips. Ritual becomes compulsion. The calm precision fractures into panic. He begins to chase something he no longer understands. Validation. Recognition. Punishment. Any response that would confirm the weight of his actions. But the city refuses to respond. Even when Patrick finally attempts honest raw, unfiltered, frantic, it lands nowhere. His words are heard, but not absorbed. Understood, but not believed. The system he thrives in is incapable of holding him accountable, because accountability would require acknowledging depth, and depth is the one thing this world cannot afford. The final realization arrives without resolution. There is no arrest, no exposure, no reckoning that feels earned. Patrick remains exactly where he started, surrounded by people, isolated by design. His reflection still looks back at him, flawless and empty. He has committed acts that should define him forever, but definition requires a witness. In a society built entirely on surfaces, even the most extreme truths dissolve before they can matter. Patrick is not punished. He is not redeemed. He is simply returned to the system that created him, unchallenged, unseen. And that is the quiet terror at the heart of it. Not that monsters exist, but that, sometimes, the world doesn't care enough to notice them.